rolling skulls that devour you, graves digging up, missing indigenous women. Today, we're going to talk about Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. This book was a really, really good read, and it focuses around the subject of indigenous lost and missing women and some of the red tape that exists that just makes it harder to find them and easier for them to disappear that maybe you might not always realize. So Sin, why were you talking about rolling heads eating people? Well, because in this book, it ties in a lot of the Native American lore, of stories of the history of this tribe, which the tribe is a fictional tribe, but the author is indigenous and is a member of the Tunica Biloxi tribe of Louisiana. Even though the tribe in this is made up, it gets into the lore and culture and story of it. Most of it takes place on the reservation, and it starts out, and it follows this character, Anna. You come into the story, and she's like 5 years old, and her uncle tells her this story that sticks with her all throughout her life. He works in the cemetery, and he tells her the story about 3 of these graves were dug up. Certain bones were taken, and one of the graves was one of their most recent chiefs of their tribe that had passed. Some of the graves, like some of the finger bones, were taken and some other bones, but they took the skull of the chief, and when that happened and they removed the skull from the body, the chief in one way or another came alive again, because chiefs are very powerful and have this innate presence that possibly brings them back to life. And he talked about how the chief devoured those that dug up the graves as this rolling head or skull that just goes around and devours people. At this point in time too, all these women had started to disappear over the years, and no one really knew what happened to them, and if it was something of this weird mystical thing that possibly this rolling head, or were there actual just people behind it, or both. And so Anna grows up and she's in high school. So she doesn't fully grow up. So she's in high school now. She is what they call two spirits, both male and female, and doesn't really identify as one or the other. And she's in high school, and high school people are awful, so they are horrible to her. And she just counts down the days until that she can graduate. And her sister Grace is so caught up in trying to be cool and fit in, and starts, Grace and Anna used to be best friends, and Grace starts distancing herself from Anna, and this really hurts Anna. The trap of being popular and wanting this guy to like you and all that stuff when you're in high school, you don't realize that none of that will really matter later in life. They grow apart, and it sucks because they used to be best friends. And then one day Grace goes missing. They had both worked at this casino on the res. Anna works, and her boss is this guy Fox. Fox, he's super muscular and good looking, but he's got stuff going on under his eyes, and there's suspected drug use there, and there's a lot of drug use on the res and whatnot. But Fox has Anna start taking care of the 8th floor in the casino, and the 8th floor is where all the famous entertainers go when they stay, and just it takes a higher level of discretion, and he wants her to clean it because she doesn't gossip and talk a lot and whatnot. But what starts happening is she notices some mysterious activity around this room 808, where women will come out of that room and have makeup running down their faces and just be really upset. And she starts seeing weird people come in and out of that room, and Fox has her go in the room and clean it, and then he wants her to get out of there and doesn't want her to ask any questions and all this stuff. And so as you have these girls that start to go missing on the res, Anna starts to suspect something is not right. So she walks to and from work. At times she thinks she hears this the rolling head, the skull, because she walks home at night. This stuck with her all those years, what her uncle said about the chief's skull rolling around and eating people. That's in her mind too, about the disappearing girls. It's how that comes together. It's how this shines a light and spotlight on all the red tape with different jurisdictions with the police, how they won't get involved with stuff on the res unless, it involves white people. Otherwise, they just don't care. And that's if indigenous women are being taken off the res, the police there don't really have jurisdiction to go and look for them, and then the police outside don't really care, and that's why so many are going missing. And it's really freaking sad and sucks. It was a really great story. It was sad, it was heartfelt, it shines a light on something that's very important with the missing missing indigenous women. What can we do to help with this? Do they find Grace again? Is she brought back, or does, it have a very sad ending? So when Grace goes missing, Anna is pretty much, she'll do anything. She'll fight with her life to get her sister back. And this book too, it had content warnings right in the front, which was nice. I feel like more books should do that. I know sometimes they do them in the back because spoilers, but it says there's violence in it, or what crappy things happen, and people want to know that. You don't have to look at the content warnings, but I thought it was cool that they were in the front of the book as opposed to the back, or non-existent at all. I thought that was nice. This is really well written. I read through it pretty quickly. I thought it was a really good story. So if you like horror that has an important message, and it also has Native American lore type elements to it, and is horror, Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina might just be for you. And if you are a fan of books that have Native American lore or stuff of that nature in it, the next video coming up will be about that. So stick around, check it out. And if you had fun hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.